to Windy Hollow Garage. Well, so I got some bad news. I think that we have smoked the transmission in the Dart. So we took it up to pacemakers last weekend and it kept slowing down about 800s on every run. So that tells me that the transmission's probably smoked. It's good in first and second gear, but I think high gear is left the chat. So I rebuilt this transmission myself back in like 2018, I think. So it's probably not like the best build ever. So I'm not really a transmission expert, but I gave it a shot and it ran fine on the street. But when we started shifting it at 5,600, that just seemed to be a little bit too much for that transmission. So I guess there's a spring that you can replace in the high gear clutch. So I have a complete spare transmission. So rather than mess with this one and rebuild it right now, I'm just going to put the spare transmission in. I ordered the spring for the high gear clutch, and other than that, I'm just going to take my valve body out of this transmission and the spring and put it in that transmission, and we'll see how it looks. So let me show you the new transmission. So here's my new transmission. It is a 904 out of, I'm guessing like a 318 car or something like that. It is like immaculate inside though. Look how clean this is. I pulled the front pump out of it last night and dropped the valve body. This is the filter as it came out. There's a little bit of stuff on the filter there, but the pan itself is like, I mean, well, there's a little bit of stuff in it, but it was a used transmission, but nothing out of normal, and it looks super clean. So I am just gonna go ahead and try and swap it in. We may regret this. Here's the clutches. I got the clutches out of the high gear. I mean, they still pretty much look like new. Like there's very little wear. So I guess this is the spring that we have to replace. So I ordered that spring. It's not here yet, and I ordered the tool to press this down. So once those come in, we can swap this. You can see the drum's got a little bit of wear on it, but it's in pretty good condition, I would say, for being a 30-year-old transmission. I don't know what year it is. I didn't. It's a little bit dirty, so I haven't been able to. On the outside, it's a little grimy, so I haven't been able to find the actual numbers on it. And take a look. This is the front pump that I've already pulled out. And I will probably go ahead and replace this front seal here, because those are notorious for leaking in Mopar. So I'll probably replace the front seal, the back seal, upgrade the spring, and then we'll just give it a shot. Hopefully it'll work. It's got to work better than the one that's in it, because you know that one doesn't really have much high gear. So all right, so yeah, the Dart ran anywhere from like 830 to 870 last weekend, and you could really hear it flaring bad on the shifts. And I adjusted the band on the transmission, hoping that would help, and that helped for about a run. I think I went 833 after I adjusted it, and then it just kept slowing down 800s every run. So we'll pull this off and check what the carnage is. I think this is going to be the 5th time I've pulled the transmission in this car, because I pulled it once to swap converters. I pulled it once to swap the engine. I pulled it once after we broke it, because I really broke it once. And so this will be maybe 4. Maybe this is only the 4th time. So I should be a pro at it, so we'll see how long it takes for me to get this out. So let's get after it. about every single tool I own is out at the moment. Not really. But it's a lot of tools I'm going to clean up. Alright. So it's been about an hour and a half, and I have the transmission ready to come out. So let's see if we can get her to wiggle out of there. The bad thing about this transmission jack is it does not go low enough to get out from under your lift. So, oh my God. Come on, you devil lug. All right, we got our transmission out of the Dart, sitting right here. We got it all, we began the autopsy of it. And so what we found is we indeed smoked our high gear clutches. So you can see they are just, all that material transfer is no good. And the drum here has a lot of grooves on it. It's not smooth anymore either. I'm sure that's not good for it. This is only a 4 clutch drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was the transmission that came in the Dart originally in 1968. I rebuilt it in 2018 according to the band. Oh yeah, this still look good. So that's how they should look. Oh yeah, see those? This is how they should look. That's how they should not look. So you can see the material, how it got hot and just burn it up. And yeah, so I know first and second gear worked fine on this transmission. So, all right. So we have another 904 that I bought as a spare from my buddy Big Ron way back in the day. He had collected this, and it looks to be out of so it looks to be a really good transmission. I pulled all the clutches out of it, and you can see the high gear clutches still look like brand new in this one. So this one looks, I mean, those look brand new. Those do not look like my clutches. The other difference is this one must be from like a Cordoba or something like that, because it comes stock with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clutches, which is supposedly the highly sought after 904 clutch, high gear clutch pack. I just learned about that yesterday. So, and you can see there is a visible difference between the two of them. This one is like, what, probably like a quarter of an inch taller than the other one. So this is the roached one, and this is the brand new to us one that we're going to throw in. So I am going to change the springs in both of the, well, this one I'm not. This one I'm probably going to throw away and just buy a new one of these on eBay or something. Next installment. So we're going to change out this clutch to the high RPM version, and then we'll get this back together and slam it back in the car. Ah! We're going to nickname her the 904 Killer, because she has smoked so many 904s.
We both have raced this car, sir. So I think it's a shared killing of 904s.
But hopefully this will make it consistent and we can race again. So we got a new tool in the mail today, and I think we quickly figured out why the Dart transmission lost high gear. So there's like no way that a mere mortal could like compress the spring enough to get this out of here. How does it go? Yeah, this goes in the bottom, this goes here, and then this spring pushes this down. But this spring is like got a lot of tension on it, and there's no way you could get this out by hand. But with the tool, you can smash it down and it holds it, so you can get the lock ring out of it, which Still took me like 20 minutes, and I cut my hand getting it out. So we pulled our piston out, and you can see this is why we lost high gear. So I didn't have this tool before, so I couldn't get to this seal, so I never replaced it. And you can see it's just, the seal is just ate up, and it's broken, and we didn't do that tearing it apart. That's how it was, so we thought we'd share that with the group. So I'm sure that's why we lost high gear. So this four clutch system would probably work just fine, you know, if you had a good seal, because that's what engages your high gear. But so every time we hit high gear, it was just leaking fluid everywhere. Internally, it wasn't blowing it out of the transmission, but well, it was a little bit. But so there we go. We'll put that back together. Well, we got our 904 tore all the way down. This is the backup one. So I wanted to make sure everything is good before we just throw it in. Looks like everything is super clean inside. This is the sprag right here. This is what keeps the drum from overrunning. So it looks brand new. So I don't know how many miles this transmission had on it, but I'm gonna guess not that many. It looks pretty clean. I popped the accumulator piston out of here, and I'm gonna replace that with just a brass rod here. I put Teflon seal on that, and pop that back in. I did take the piston out of there, but anyway, this is what it looks like tore all the way down. So we just wanted to pull everything out and clean it all up. This is one of the drums. So this just drops. I'm gonna pop this out of the way here. And this just sits in here. You see, when you turn this, the sprag keeps it so it only turns one way. So anyway, this should spin freely one direction, but not the other, and that's exactly what this does. It looked really, really good. So we are just going to put it back together. I don't see any reason to fix what's not broken. Everything looks clean. I don't see any metal, so we're going to put it back together. All right. So this looks super complicated, but if you have everything together correctly, you can see it only goes together one way. So your little snap ring goes right here. So let me see. So if your little snap ring goes right there, then I mean you've got everything back together. It did take me a couple tries. I did not have a couple of the washers in their spots quite perfect, and it's got to line up exactly right or it won't fit. So, and there you can see I got the snap ring back in there. So they just make snap ring pliers that you, like this, that kind of go on there and expand that out so you can alright, yeah, so they just make this little snap ring pliers. They just go in there like that, and you expand that out, and it takes all the low gear guts out of the transmission. This one actually has all steel planetaries and stuff, so it's a really good transmission. And you put your washer back on right there, and that's it. Now I'm just still waiting on the spring, and then we'll put it back together.
What do you want?
All right. Well, through the magic of video, we've got the transmission back in the Dart. I spent like 2 days installing it, but I was sick and sniffly and coughy, and I didn't really want to sniffle and cough on camera. So I just suffered through and got it all back installed. Here's some of the updates we did. So we got a new transmission cooler, which is pretty big. So that should help keep the transmission nice and cool. And we also ran new transmission lines. I hated those. They were stainless steel brake lines, but I just hated, they were so close to the headers and stuff, I just hated them. So I made some new dash 6 lines, which run very neatly down the frame, away from the header, away from everything, and then connect into the transmission. So that should help keep our transmission nice and cool. I put a new rear seal in. I also changed out the bushing and the tail shaft. But this is, we should be all good to go now. I got the speedometer working. So some fella really over tightened the oil filter on there. And I was just barely able to get it off, and I smashed it all to bits. You gotta take the oil filter off to get to the bell housing bolts, and yeah, so maybe I won't go quite so Hulk strength putting that on next time. Okay, as you can see, we got the new oil filter back on after the debacle of getting the old one off, and everything is pretty good. We got a little transmission drip here from, it's actually the pan gasket that's leaking, and it's a reusable gasket, so I'm super annoyed. But that's where the drip's coming from. Let's see, yep, we got 6 AN lines, you can see nice and big, which should help with cooling, and I think that's about it. So this is the spare transmission, not the original transmission. The spare looked a little better than the original one. It has a lower gear set. I think it has a 2.7 first gear, whereas the original one has a 2.4 first gear. So it might help the car launch a little bit better. It also had the good front band. Or good rear band, one of those two. So anyway, we're gonna see if we actually have a transmission that transmissions now. We had to take the front bumper off to get the transmission cooler in there, so we're gonna try and put the front bumper on and maybe go for a drive. You wanna go for a drive, Is?
Always.
Hopefully the transmission finally transmissions. I guess we'll see if we have high gear finally. So sorry. So it was like 90 degrees and like 80% humidity when we took the Dart for the test drive, and it kind of overheated. So we got it back home, and I flushed the cooling system really good. It was just full of like rusty, crusty stuff. So I think that helped it out quite a bit and fixed our overheating issue. And I know the big transmission cooler is now kind of blocking the direct flow to the radiator. So I went ahead and added a fan shroud. Hasn't really gotten over 200 since we did all that. So I thought everybody would, didn't want to end the video off just with the car overheating. So let you know that we think we have it fixed. So you can see the fancy fan shroud here. I just made it out of a piece of aluminum and kind of wrapped it around our aluminum radiator, and turned out really good. And that seems to have solved the overheating issue. Unfortunately, it's like 90 degrees in Ohio with like 80% humidity. So it's kind of miserable to drive this car around with no air conditioning, and we're probably going to be a couple weeks before we can get it back out to the track. But hopefully it'll cool off soon enough so we can get this car back out to the track, hopefully run some 790s in the eighth. I'm hoping for 12s in the quarter. If you stayed with us this long, I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the inside guts of a 904 transmission, and we will see you in the next one.